Start the session,
I don't
like
know, have we?
recording and stuff. Can I just take a moment to call out Southwestern Rail Service for still running a delayed rail service, even though they're officially done striking? Fuck you guys. Carry on, Ben.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Southwestern Rail Service, our sponsor for today's video. Because,
Absolutely.
yeah, they're not.
Just like their trains, our sponsorship payments will be delayed.
Indefinitely.
Oh, what's that? Oh, our sponsorship payments have been cancelled. Just like all your fucking trains.
Lovely. Anyway, a quick recap, because we haven't been here in a week or so. So, yeah, absolutely. Quality humour. Anyway, recap. You guys last week first went to Lazarus's mansion to deal with the wraith bottlers down in his cellar. After releasing the wraiths, you slightly underestimated their readiness to escape, and they rushed Doc and Balzanor, downing both of them. Soon, however, they were dealt with thanks to the forbiddance and fireballs of the two.
Table.
I believe they did, yeah. And neither of them had anything. And we've done stuff since then, so I'm just gonna say, if they were injured, they're not anymore. Next, you went to the council meeting, where you were a little late, and were given several pieces of information as to what happened in the capital over the past few weeks. Money going missing, different things happening, clerics being told to leave, all that fun stuff. And you met once again several of the council members who toasted each of you. To your surprise, Lady Neelith entered the council chamber, though you soon realized something was amiss. After a detect good and evil was cast, tensions rose, and the illusion around Lady Neelith's form was dropped, revealing her to have been decimated and brutally attacked not long after your meeting a few days ago. And her corpse was being animated by Yara. In the process of this, a powerful spell was cast upon Councilman Whitash of the religious affairs of the country, and he was killed immediately after a single word, stop. Yara spoke to you and warned of the incoming attack. She said the council needed to step down, people had to leave, and the king's head was to be placed on a spike outside the city, as well as all of your heads. If this wasn't done, her army would be merciless and spare nobody in the city in their impending siege. You were then asked to attend a meeting at sunrise tomorrow morning to discuss battle plans and siege tactics. You messaged Captain Drunigan soon after this, telling him his services were no longer needed, but he then revealed that him and Tyrion had been captured by the Black Talons, and you were to meet them sometime tomorrow in the place you first met the Talons, or they would kill Tyrion and Drunigan. You all went to Pelor's Temple, got yourselves some rest, and we begin the session here as you awaken in the morning. I'm assuming, obviously, you're waking up very, very early before sunrise. It was. The meeting is at sunrise. So I'm assuming you're waking up in time for that meeting.
Yes.
As you awaken in the morning, the temple is pretty empty. As you sort of pass through it, getting your gear together and things like that, feeling a little refreshed after some sleep after a really long day yesterday, fighting vampires and wraiths and all sorts of crap. You can you head upstairs and out of the temple. It's pretty quiet. There's barely anyone sort of there, but you can hear the moans and groans of the soldiers from the day before, who, as Galahad, maybe he'd mentioned, had a bit of an encounter with a horde of fiends outside the city, somewhere a little while away from the city. You might overhear this morning that one of them has sadly passed away from their wounds, and the one that is sort of moaning is clearly struggling to sleep as his pain seems to be racking him endlessly. Through a curtain you can see sort of blood-soaked rags and cloths and dried blood over the stone floor, and many sort of priests and things just cleaning this up, wiping it up as this guy's trying to sleep and trying to sort of calm him down and keep him quiet, sort of thing.
Can I try and attune to this axe?
Yes, of course you can. Yeah, just before everyone sort of leaves, as everyone's getting up and getting ready. Yeah, you just sort of like take a moment to sit with the. Maybe you get up a little bit early and you just sit with the axe for a little while, and over the short rest, you just sort of sit near your bed, just sitting with the axe and holding it in your hands, trying to sort of reach into your mind to try and find any connection here. And you do actually find sparks of connection. You think for a minute, like it's almost like a fog that slowly begins to appear into an image in your mind, just every so often, of essentially you in like the first person, but doing things you've never done. You marching with several other knights, like paladins of an order, charging towards an army of people who aren't armored, but are wearing like wizard's robes and holding wands and staffs and casting spells at you and fireballs. And in these images, you are just hacking and slashing through each and every one. In one of them, you're climbing a wizard's tower, just cutting through a cult of evil wizards and mages. In another, you literally just take this thing out in the middle of the street and just clap on a guy's back of his head, just because this is the only time you could get him. And it's a lot of these different sort of images appear in your head. As the journey sort of comes to its end, not journey, as the attunement comes to its end. Sorry, I'm just getting the notes up on Aladis, because I sent you the question.
I like to imagine, because Griffin's a bit of a fucked up dude, he's seeing all these visions of people just getting absolutely cleaved and just going, "Oh, nice."
Yeah, pretty.
Oh, really got him.
Yeah,
sucks
pretty
to be that guy.
So at the end of sort of all these visions, a voice sort of whispers out to you just in the back of your mind as you hold the blade, and it says, "As you can see, to some, magic is a tool. To others, a weapon. Magic can do anything and be anything, depending on the wielder. I feel your magic. Dark in nature, chaotic and destructive. What is magic to you?"
I mean, it's both a weapon and a tool, and it depends on the user, I think. It's the user's intentions.
And
whether you use it in self-defense, and as long as you're using it for the right reason, I think it can be both.
Calls out again, just this time, even sort of like softer, just in the back of your mind. And what are your intentions?
To see justice correctly served.
There's a moment of
Masturbate.
just...
Sorry?
There's a
Masturbate.
moment of... there's a moment of sort of like... It almost feels like fizzing in the back of your mind. This strange, sort of like pins and needles, but like localized to just like your cranium and your head. And slowly over the next sort of minute, it travels down through your arms, your shoulders, your hands. And then your whole body sort of shakes. You close your eyes and you have to close your eyes to shake it off. And then as you open them, you just suddenly have this knowledge. It's like it's literally like those moments in I can't remember what film it is, but like you open your eyes and information and images and all sort of stuff are flying past your face, and you're seeing all the different everything. And yeah, you can successfully, with that answer, attune to this blade. Your intelligence becomes 16 if it is below 16. If it's above 16, you get a +2 to your intelligence score, to a maximum of 20. You gain proficiency in Arcana, or expertise if you already have a proficiency in Arcana. You have advantage on attack rolls.
What do you mean by expertise?
So if you already have proficiency in Arcana,
Which I do.
Okay, then I'll do that for you. But basically means you double your proficiency bonus for any Arcana rolls you make. There is a thing for it in Roll20. If you
Like
click
a rogue.
Yeah. Like how a rogue sort of does that sort of stuff.
I'm going to be the new Oramus, but with Arcana.
Absolutely. So if you go to Arcana, you go to expertise there, and congratulations, you know a +13 Arcana. So
Jeez.
you know fucking everything about Arcana. You have advantage on rolls to hit any creature that is concentrating on a spell. And you can... The blade has 3 charges. You can expend 1 to cast haste, 1 to cast Dispel Magic, and 1 to cast Detect Magic. You can use 3 hastes in a day. You can use 3 Dispel Magics in a day. It's entirely up to you.
This is called the Weave Cleaver, yeah?
The Weave Cleaver, yes.
Is it plus 2?
+2.
Okay, cool.
You also get the sort of sense from this blade as you feel it in your hands that there is something more there. It's almost like there should be more. There should be more power. There should be more something. And you almost feel like, or it gives you the feeling that the more you attune to this blade and the more it sees what you're doing with its power and with its knowledge and how you are using magic, essentially, you may gain more benefits from this blade.
Cool.
It may grant you more insight and give you more abilities.
Do you have all that stuff written down?
I do on my phone.
Okay.
In very, very basic form.
At some point, and then I'll put it in my character sheet.
Cool. Oh wait, all the stuff about that I've just said to you, or the
Yeah. Just so I
stuff?
can remember it.
Right. Cool.
Get an advantage against people that are concentrating. And
Oh right, I actually have that stuff right now, so I'll put that in your character sheet now. Just give me 1 second. I think I might already have done it. Why is Roll20 being so slow? There we go. There we go. Should be in the treasure part of your bio.
Oh yeah, thank you.
There we go. Right. With that attuned, and this all just sort of like happens as everyone else is getting up, the blade suddenly feels a lot lighter in your hands, and you're able to spin it through your hands, and it just feels right, feels natural in your hands. Place it away in your however you carry your blade, and you guys can continue on to the castle. As I said, the streets are pretty empty this morning, but a few people are getting stalls set up early to sort of get the better spots in the streets. That's sort of how it works. You have to take them down at some point in the evening, but then in the morning, sort of like beds in a hotel pool. First come, first serve. And people often get up very, very early just to set things up. Because generally at first light, that's when not everything opens, but that's when sort of like business can be done, especially sort of on the streets and things like that. As you're walking through the streets, everyone just make me a quick perception check. Oh, damn. 20 to 21, that's pretty good. I'll say even with those two, as Doc and Griffin, Galahad, you Balzanor, you're slightly distracted. Maybe you're not a morning person.
Balzanor
I don't know.
I don't think I've ever rolled higher than a
Chili
6.
macchiato yet.
Yeah, Balzanor, you're a little bit groggy this
wasn't
morning.
enough
Maybe you
chili
didn't get
in
an
his porridge.
incredible night's sleep. Galahad, again, sort of maybe you didn't get the best night's sleep either, and you and Balzanor sort of lacking behind just that little bit. But Griffin and Doc, as you're walking along, you just hear this sudden crash come from your right, almost like just a bunch of wood just collapsing from somewhere. And you can hear muffled conversations that sound like they're getting a little bit more tense. You can interact with it. You can move on. You have a meeting to get to, but you can interact with it if you like.
Like aggressive crashing, or just like someone like a vendor's
something heavy and wooden has dropped on the ground, and you can hear sort of two sort of groups of individuals arguing against one another, and one is much louder than another. There's like a morning mist.
I think I hear business.
There's a morning sort of mist throughout the capital as well, because it's quite a cold morning, so you can't really see very far down many of the streets, but you know your way around, you know which way to go. Would you go check it out, or just keep heading on your way?
Are we like running slightly ahead for our meeting? Do we have time to stop, or because as much as like we would stop and help, at the same time, Tyrion and Captain Dronigan's lives are at stake. So I don't feel like wouldn't be like, oh, we'll rock up 10 minutes meet to our Talons meeting, because they're very understandable
Well,
people.
we're going to the council meeting first, aren't we?
Is it the council meeting or the Talons meeting first?
The council meeting first. The council meeting's
Never
the one
mind,
at the
Yeah,
one
we
at
can be late for
sunrise.
that. We were late for the other one, so yeah, let's go help these people.
Cool. You turn around a corner and you takes a minute to sort of like walk up, and you can see these two dragonborn individuals who are next to just basically a pile of wood right now, and a lot of fruits and things just clattered along the ground. There's a man and a woman, dragonborn, male and female, both blue scaled, both sort of trying to argue without getting too aggressive at these two guards that are stood around. The guards are sort of like basically, in essence, from what you can gather, especially Griffin and Doc, as you guys are heading forward, you can gather that they're talking about permits. The guards are saying that they need just two of them, but they're saying you need a permit to put up your stall here. And the Dragonborn, from what you can gather, just as you're walking up, they seem to think otherwise. And the Dragonborn are a little older. Yeah, like one of the people came over, kicked the leg of one of the stalls, which is now snapped, and the whole thing just came crashing down.
Okay.
What would you like to do? They're arguing. The Dragonborn woman is clearly sort of holding her husband back a little bit. Like her husband, you can tell, just has this aura of aggressiveness about him. He's slightly leaning forward, even though he's a bit older. Has this slightly aggressive sort of look, whereas his wife is sort of holding him by the shoulder, holding him back, and more pleading, whereas he is more arguing. And the two guards are just shouting at them, basically. What would you like to do?
Is there anyone else about?
Yeah, there's a couple of people about, a couple of individuals just on this same street.
Are there anyone else setting up stalls?
Yeah. There's a couple of people sort of setting up stalls, setting up shops for the day, and things like that.
Galahad, you're very good at placating angry individuals. How about you step in there? Been a while, is it?
What seems to be the problem?
What seems to be the problem here?
That's a bit more like Bane. What seems to be the problem?
Good morning. Is there a problem here?
Oh, all right, yeah, just these two fucknuts were setting up their shop in a place where they do not have a permit. The old man just sort of like the old Dragonborn man just looks towards you on the back of him. As I've explained to you 1,000 times, we do not need a damn permit. Do not ask anyone else on the street for a permit. Yeah, we'll get to them. We're going this side up. You can tell there's this very, very subtle sort of glow in his sort of like chest. A very, very subtle, just like light in his chest. Obviously, knowing Dragonborn, you can tell he's getting pretty pissed off.
Sorry, I don't mean to question your authority. Our good friends of the City Watch, I presume.
Oh, yeah.
Was there any need to, be as aggressive in your approach there?
This gentleman was getting aggressive. I mean, you can see that under his little scales there, he's got his little flary thing going. You're going to hit me with lightning, are you? I will if you tempt me. And they just have
far
this
be
little
it
argument between
for me to
themselves.
suggest what's happening here, but it feels a little bit like you're riling him up.
No. We would never think of riling up a good citizen of the capital, especially one doing such good work as selling half-rotten fruit and now very dirty fruit to the good people. No, never.
Oh,
The guy's
sorry,
just-
forgive me. I assumed you were people intelligent enough to rile people up, and I've obviously mistaken you there.
What happened to the stall?
Well, the gentleman was getting aggressive, and I politely told him to get back. He wouldn't listen, so I had to use a measure of force. I did not touch him.
What happened to? I didn't ask what happened between the two. You asked what happened to the stall. It seems to be.
Well,
broken.
then the idiot fell into it, didn't he? You kicked the stall out from underneath me. I did no such thing as touch you. No, he's called me a liar. Fuck, can't trust a dragonborn as far as you can fucking throw him.
I'd like to
It seems
check
rather
the guard.
discriminatory.
Pardon?
I'd like to insight check the guard.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, this guy's lying his ass off. This is like definitely one of those kinds of people who just makes up shit and is almost expecting, like, maybe he's heard of you guys, and the way he's sort of like talking, he's almost expecting for you to just naturally agree with him, given how people treat Dragonborn.
Yeah, I don't like the way you're talking about this fine man here. Business is the heart and soul of the city. It provides jobs and stability.
Oh yeah, I understand that, but business has to be conducted properly, doesn't it?
Well, might
Yeah,
I
well.
suggest
I'm a man of
that
the
you
faith.
go
If
and find... Excuse me, fucking dwarf.
The one time Galahad lost his cool. This fucking dwarf. That and the nonce are the two times he's lost his cool.
I just want a t-shirt now with "Excuse me, fucking dwarf."
Oh.
Would you mind pointing out to me where it says in the rules that they have to have a permit?
Well, do you want me to go down city hall and get the rule book out for you? I just know the rules. Do you know the
Quote
rules?
me the line.
Hmm?
I'm losing this voice, but
You need a permit to set up a stall on any street that's within, well, any street in the Cloud District.
what's the article? What's the subsection?
Oh, I don't know, do I?
Then I
I'm just a
suggest you go
guard,
and
but
find
I
out. If you don't know your own laws, how can you enforce them?
Are there any other Dragonborn vendors on the street?
There's maybe like one way down the way, but at the present moment, this is the only ones you can sort of see about. There's like a half-orc just out the way who's selling like kitchen knives and different knives and things, and there's another guy just a little bit further ahead who's selling like similar sort of like vegetables, large gourds, and different types of melons and things like that.
I'd like to just say something. Well, seeing as we can't ascertain what's actually happened to Saul, why don't you? And I'll point to one of the guys. Why don't you just help them get everything cleared up, and I'll go with your companion here, and we'll make sure everyone's permits are in order. As a man of the faith, I'm sure you can trust me to help you keep the peace in this matter.
Are you trying to persuade him, or are you trying to intimidate this guy?
No, I'm definitely going to make this an intimidation check.
Okay, yeah. Roll intimidation. It's not lowly guards after all.
I can't remember what I get for intimidation. Because I have something.
I think because of your scar and things like that, I gave you advantage a little while back against dwarves.
I think it's advantage except against dwarves.
Ah, right. Yeah, that was it.
Intimidation.
Oh, good job.
15. The guy's a little reluctant at
It's
first.
a good
but,
roll, Luke. Just because some of us are in the 30s.
like, you know, it takes a sort of a little bit of swaying, and they kind of look at each other a little oddly, like maybe they've caused up a bit too much trouble than it's worth. But yeah, the guy's sort of like, oh, fucking hell, fine. And he sort of goes and half-assed helps pick some stuff up. Like he's mainly like the one that's just like kicking all the sort of fruits into a small pile so that he can transfer them up easier and stuff like that. He's not actually going to do the thing at all. And the other guy just sort of looked at you. Yeah, what do you want?
It's like, well, you know, I thought I'll accompany you around and we can make sure everyone's got their permits in order.
Oh, no worries. I mean, I've done the rest of this street.
You
I assume that's what you're out here
You'd
for,
started here
all
and
the
you were
time.
working your way up.
Oh, well, we did it in a bit of a weird order. We sort of started. We meant working our way up from here now.
So you haven't actually
Up
asked
there,
any of
doing
those
the other
people
street.
up there, have you?
Oh, come on! They're just a bunch of Dragonborn old fuckers. You're really going to bust my balls for this right now, are you?
I absolutely am. I'm also going to have you
All
named.
citizens of Ambyr are equal.
Ask my name. None of your fucking business. Who the fuck? You're just a. Why don't you leave the garden of the city to me, mate, and you go do Apollo's stuff? I think I know who you are, and I think I appreciate what you've done. Really, I do. But there's a line.
Yes,
and
there
you-
is a line.
you-
I believe
you-
you're
Can
very
I-
crossing
close
it.
to crossing it, sir.
Oh,
I think
how-
you've
hmm.
really quite crossed it there, sir.
Can I draw a line on the ground with my
Yeah.
sword?
Yeah.
Do I actually want to do this?
Abuse of power, assault of the citizen. That's what it sounds like to me.
That is the line, sir. Quite right, dwarf.
I don't really call it an abuse of power per se. You know what? Fine. We'll leave the old fuckers alone. Just Jesus, you guys get so fucking nitpicky about this shit. Whatever. Fine. We'll leave them alone.
What do your family
Come on,
do
oi.
for a living? Are you married? Do you have children? What do your parents do? What's their employment?
I don't think I need to tell you any of that. Why do you want to know about my?
Just a hypothetical
Parents.
question.
I know what to sort this out.
You don't need to know what my family. Look, we're backing up. We apologise for the inconvenience.
Your parents, they run a nice business, a respectable business, a good business. They work hard. Looking at you, they're unlikely to be lordly folk, so I'm sure they're common folk who work hard and earn a decent wage and are respectable around town. I'm sure they do what's right. Now imagine two disrespectful, unpleasant, dirty people come around and start throwing bricks through their windows, or smashing their locks, stealing things from them. How do you feel about it then?
Look, whatever, fucking Scarface. I'm done with this shit now. And he begins to turn around and walk. I was like, "Oi, Bobby, come on, we're done it." Bobby then just
Bobby.
like he's amassed like a little pile of the fruits, and he just sort of kicks it and topples it over and walks off, and like
I really
begins to
wanna ring
walk with his mate.
Head.
Hold person. Third level.
Hold person.
Both of them.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That guy fails, and that guy fails.
Can I put an arm on Doc's shoulder while he's doing that and just say, I completely understand what you're doing, but we are treading in dangerous territory here when perhaps already
Just like
been skirting the line.
cast on the person and say, "Don't walk away from me."
No.
No,
course,
you
it's
you
just-
should know what I've said.
Very careful.
Okay.
We are on our way to a meeting with the council of this city. I will
Of the
be coming
country.
back this way to speak to these nice folk. I might be coming back regularly. If I find that they have had any more difficulty with the likes of you, that you've been hassling anyone unnecessarily, you will learn what a cleric of Apollo can really do.
Yeah, sure. What the fuck is going on? This feels so fucking weird. I don't like it.
And then I'll just release the spell and let them go.
Yeah, let's yeah, and they just like rush off double time, then just down the other end of the street. The two old folk just sort of like walk up to you, They thank you very, very much. The old man was like, I could have taken care of them, but thank you very, very much. That was
All right.
impressive.
I'm sure you heard what happened to the Temple of Apollo recently. I'm currently staying in the Temple of Pelor, so if you need any more help, do come and find me.
Thank
If
you.
you find that the city is not a place for you to be anymore, then let me know and I'll help you sort something out.
Hmm.
And then
That
in Draconic, I'll just say there's a safe place to go away from scum like that.
in Draconic, they reply back, but a safe place is not home. They thank you all once again. They
I understand.
pick up their wares. They try and offer you some breakfast. Like they've got a couple of the like fruits and things that didn't quite fall off. They pick up and just sort of like hand to each of you, so you can
I'll
all
take
have like
some,
like an
and
apple.
I'll give them like 5 gold to like get the store like repaired and stuff like that as well.
Fair enough. Yeah, to speed things along. Yeah, they take it. They profusely thank you like a million times as you're going up the street and watch as you go. You get the sense like each apple is like a copper piece, so 5 gold is a lot for what they'd be for they'd be earning, maybe like 2 copper pieces. But yeah, they're very, very thankful, and you guys can continue on. The guards, tails between their legs, rush off down the street. You continue on through the capital. It's a bit more of a quiet morning now after got at least something in your stomach. Heading on through, it's a long walk you have to pass sort of near the College of Wizardry, and you can see some students some students older and younger sort of like leaving the college after probably a night of heavy studying, and some coming towards the college for a day of long study as well. And eventually you find yourselves going towards the 3 bridges near the capital. You pass over the bridge towards the castle and sort of head to the road, and you enter the courtyard of the castle. As you're heading over the bridge, like the guards wave you hello. They seem, they let you through immediately now. They're a little confused by Damien, but they trust that because he's with you, it's fine. Assuming you have Damien with you, that is.
Yeah.
And you're let into the courtyard. It's like just about sort of sunrise now. It's still pretty dark. There's still like a long shadows cast over everything, especially the castle, casting sort of long shadows over the area. And as you head into the courtyard, there seems to be a little bit of excitement going on. There are many men and women all dressed in sort of very fancy armor, and you can deem these people, because the armor they wear, they're wearing like fancy plate armor, designed and decorated to their own appeal. Each of these must be different generals and different people that are gathered for this meeting. Around the area are soldiers and things laughing and watching on, and in the middle of the grass is a sort of circle of these individuals, soldiers and generals alike, and amongst the crowd you can even see General Daviak stood and watching. He is standing next to a person with a long sort of cloak of leaves and grass and shrubbery and things like that, which Doc and Balzanor you recognize as Nevada. They're all standing in this circle, and as you all approach, Daviak just looks around. Oh, guys, come on, quick. All right, watch this now. And in the middle of this circle stands Giri, stood alone with a wooden sword in her hand. Standing around Giri are 3 members of the Kingsguard. Daviak just turns to you. My money's on Giri. 10 seconds. Anyone want to place bets?
Not against Daviak. I know what Daviak knows.
Oh yeah, I'll take a bet on the Kingsguard. Why not? Don't look like much to me that this Giri.
Yeah, at 10 gold. Yeah, for those of you, obviously haven't seen Giri, fairly foreign armor, not the kind of armor that you would have seen not the kind of armor that you would see generally people wearing in Amber. Definitely sort of foreign, probably from Titan sort of thing. You can guess, for anyone who hasn't seen Giri before wielding the sword. I would say Giri would have had time to place the enchantment in the Sword of Precision to a better weapon if she would have liked.
Yeah, how much
obviously
does it cost?
Would probably cost around the region of 500 gold to put it in a.
That is very generous. I'm pretty sure that's all Giri has.
Also,
Wow,
I mean,
5 gold left
it
is
would,
Giri.
I mean, it wouldn't be, because Giri has also been paid for her time here, as we talked about, sort of
What sort of rates
training up people and things like that. You would have gained about sort of 200 gold for your work with the troops in the past few days, as like a sort of mercenary charge sort of thing. Obviously,
Is
not.
Is that like a daily rate or?
Oh no! That's a
Oh, that's a flat.
that's
fee.
that's like an upfront fee for mercenary pay sort of thing. Because Giri still not technically a member of the army, still technically a mercenary. But it's much like how in medieval times, countries would hire mercenaries to protect them. Like, this is a fairly standard thing.
Yeah. Just thought Giri
especially for someone
as
as no.
We're in the wrong profession, this Tiamat hunting.
So in the middle of the area stands Giri, with obviously her armor, this wooden sword, which is like the equivalent of a sort of great sword actually the equivalent of just a regular sword. And these 3 Kingsguard who two of them look fairly confident, and they're sort of like swinging these swords back and forth. One of them perhaps maybe has heard of Giri and is a little bit more hesitant and is properly trying to sort of get a stance going. One of the sort of generals, a slightly larger, rotund man with white hair sort of tied back and a big bushy beard, human, fairly tall, sort of steps out. Right, you all know the rules? 3, 2, 1. Please don't kill my Kingsguard. Sam, can I ask you to roll initiative as Giri?
Oh, Giri's one weakness.
No, it's not a weakness. It's tactical.
Ooh.
Giri waits and watches her opponent act, and then she strikes.
Kingsguard rolled a 13.
Oh, they're all dead.
Giri goes first. So imagine this is like a round of combat. You don't need to roll damage. This is just like, to touch, basically. What would Giri like to do?
Fucking hit.
Yeah, they're each about sort of like 15 sort of feet from you. Well, like 10 feet from you in each direction, sort of thing.
Hitting out, yeah?
Yeah, hitting out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will move to the one on the right,
Uh-huh.
and then I'm guessing I don't get any modifiers on a wooden sword.
No, sadly not. This is a basic. It's a
It's a +3 weapon, and I will be taking it with me afterwards.
You found the sword made from the legendary Tree of Life.
This has got a 10 on it. Oh, I'm going to activate my even though this is a fucking practice session, I'm going to activate my martial focus. So I'll get advantage on this. I mean, I guess that hits. That
Yeah,
10,
26 heads, yep.
So move in, slash the guy on the right with a quick one. So I've moved about 10 feet to get to him,
Yeah, 10 feet to get to him.
and then 10 feet to the one in the middle.
Yeah.
I'll get advantage on this as well. 25.
25 hits, yep.
Duck under his hit, take his legs out from underneath him, and then last 10 feet of movement to the one on the left.
Yep, go for it.
Better than that, please. 17?
17 misses.
Okay, action surge. Oh, that's dreadful 2 hits. So that's my first hit. That's a miss. Where are all these rolls coming from?
Oh,
That's my second
Lord.
hit. That's a miss. 19.
19 just hits.
Okay, right. So it's really smooth, and then it's not very smooth for a little bit.
It's
I like the last guy that I've gone for is probably the best of them,
You've
and
got
we're just
yeah,
like,
he's the one that was so the first
Yeah.
so the first sort of two, like it's like go, and as these guys are like, you know, the two have been sort of swinging their swords in their hand, and on go they're only now getting into their stance. But by the time the first one's just got into a somewhat practiced stance, Giri's already put the sword to his stomach, like bam. Next one, like with a quick sort of swing, like a twirl and ducked underneath, taking his legs out from underneath him, beneath the shield that he has, and then just quick onto him as he's down. Then the third one, she goes for quite a strong strike. This guy can see it coming. This is the guy who was, you know, maybe has heard of Giri in practice. So it's basically just a lot of like him putting his shield in the way. But eventually Giri's like, nah, I've had enough of this. Sweeps the leg with one foot, and then as he's coming down, cracks him across the back, and in the air he just like flips and rolls in the air and falls to the ground. And there's just this like murmur around. It's not a celebration, but it's also not a cheer, as you get the thing. Whereas a lot of people have put their faith in the Kingsguard, and fairly few people have put their faith in Giri. There's quite loud cheers from some people, but not very loud cheers from others. You can see all these generals and different people sort of pass money around and things like that. Giri stands there, just still mask on, just sort of, swipes the sword.
Griffin just slips Daviak 10 gold and just goes smug twat.
I like to imagine this is kind of like when you like have to go against someone like left-handed in something. And so, like, all these
Sort of,
soldiers
yeah.
are like, used to just, like, fighting, like, sword and shield, you know, knight to knight. And then Giri's style is just so alien that she just destroys them all.
Yeah, like she's for a girl with not a lot of decks, she is just way too quick and practiced and precise with her attacks that it just decimates all these people and leaves the Kingsguard pretty much just on the floor. Good job, Kingsguard.
I would like to test my skill against that fine warrior. Someday.
Someday.
Needs a little blue pill before he can get his steel out.
Even here, Dokrumir. Don't appreciate your success. We could all learn a fine lesson. Well, some of us, look at Griffin, could learn a fine lesson from that warrior's swordsmanship. Some of us.
There was a few moments where like Davian makes small talk. He says hello to each of you. Sort of like shakes most of your hand, gives Balzanor a big bear hug. And you know he's been doing all right. When the rest of the guys went north, they essentially dropped him off at Northgard, or rather he went north and then came quickly back to Northgard. Stayed long enough to say hi to Albers and have a quick look at how things were doing before setting off. Says things are doing fine, things are progressing very, very well up in the north, and Northgard's doing pretty much the same. They're still getting things ready and doing stuff. You guys, the Dringers of the north, their presence is being missed by many of the soldiers, and a lot of sort of talk has been murmuring around as to what happened to Mittens, but soldiers, many of them have their theories. Not any of them are correct because of how weird the actual thing is of he died and turned into a green alien.
That can't be true, right? Surely that's not a theory, man.
That sounds like some mad conspiracy theory that some guy ranting about on Twitter at 12 o'clock in the evening.
He's actually a green alien walking amongst us.
Yeah.
Every 10 years he returns to the scene of his death.
But otherwise things are going well. And that was man. But as the sort of few moments pass in and around this area, he also introduces Nevado to those of you who haven't properly and formally met Nevado yet, because Nevado wasn't part of that initial troop of people in the pub.
How tall is he?
Yeah.
He's relatively short.
Okay.
Blown up
Exact
any more
height.
camps recently, Nevada?
Yes, lots, actually. Lots and lots.
You begin to realise, Doc, that his voice has changed since you last spoke to him. It's very strange.
It's a bit cold in the capital.
Yeah.
He's a bit nasal.
He's just getting over
I
a
don't remember
cold.
it at all. I imagined your voice was different to that.
Well, you know, I like to change it up.
as
No one knows
Gary-
who I really am.
As Giri comes over to Daviak, can she just sort of say to him like, "I'll take my 25% cut, Daviak"?
Yeah, Daviak just like hands you over a big bag, and I'm like, yeah, there you go, fucking show off.
How much exactly? Sorry.
That was, you got about sort of 50 gold in there.
Oh, Daviak made bank.
I mean, Griffin gave him 10. I imagine there's quite a lot of people watching that.
Yeah, a lot of people watching, and given the armor on a lot of these people and the weapons, like this is a group of like generals. Each of them have magical armor, magical weapons, and if not magical, then
How can
you know,
we pop a
tailored
man
and
out of his
blacksmithed,
own armor?
like blacksmithed and created specifically, you know, for them and for their tailored style. So a lot of these people, yeah, are carrying bank. Ugh, pardon me. Yeah, some small talk sort of goes on before a call is given from the sort of large doors of, well, actually not the large doors, some smaller doors into the castle. Just a sort of like,
Small talk
Oh, yeah.
made. I want to just basically like pull Daviak aside and just tell him about the incident this morning.
oh, the thing
the
with the Dragon
Dragon
Ball.
Ball,
Yeah, I can't really do anything about that. I'm a general, but I'm not like general of here. If it was happening in Northgard, then that shit would be, you know, swept up, no problem, done, nothing. But here, I mean, I can speak to some people, make sure it doesn't happen. But you know, there's a reason why we do what we do in the North. I think we're falling on deaf ears a little bit.
Yeah, just maybe have a word.
Yeah.
Your name is
Yeah,
more
I'll,
around here than mine. And I'd rather keep
Well,
it
I
that
would-
way.
Well, I wouldn't be so sure about that at all. I heard what happened to what's his name, Whitash, last night, the councilman. Your name's been tossed around here and there. What has actually been going on here? I feel very left in the dark. I haven't heard from Glyndon, or weirdly, Oramus has been weirdly quiet or anything. No one's really
Your own
telling me
brother,
anything.
maybe?
No, I haven't even heard from Mazzy either. That's not so weird, but yeah,
He's a quiet lad.
what is going on? What's going on here? How have things been here?
For the moment, we've got, the way I see it, two problems. An external one, which we don't know the full scope of, and an internal one, which we also don't know the full scope of. We've got an undead army on the way. That's the external one. And we've got a group of assassins inside that no one seems to believe in.
Oh, so just a regular Thursday then.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, we've got
Rampant racism issue.
Don't forget it. It's an important issue.
yeah, I mean, after this, the Tyrion and what was that guy's name again?
Captain
Dronigan.
Dronigan.
Captain Dronigan. They were both helping us out, and received a message yesterday taken prisoner for their efforts. After this is all done, we're going to go and check it out.
Ah, shit. I mean, I got time. Maybe. I don't know. Depends on what happens in this meeting. Might have to go and rally some troops and things like that. Don't know if you've heard, but a lot of the past couple of weeks, I don't know what's.
They apparently
We're
they've
full
got,
like defense mode now, I think.
they've got Dronigan's family as well, and I don't know if Tyrion
Shit.
had family, but if he did, I imagine they've got them as well. They said come alone, so I imagine that meant just the four of us. But yeah, don't want to take too many risks.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, if I can be there, I'll be there.
Cheers.
But yeah, kind of gotta going from besieging a place to defending a siege. It's been a long couple of months. I'm not gonna lie. I need a drink.
It's been a long week.
Well, yeah, I can imagine assassins and undead armies, and I've heard vampires.
Yeah, that was.
You guys you killed a vampire without me. Come on, Doc.
He went down like a sack of shit.
Oh,
I got this cool dagger.
come on. Oh, hey, that's pretty cool.
Just be careful with just be careful with it because if it goes off, you'll be 30 foot across the room, like I was.
Oh,
Twice.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that doesn't sound fun. Yeah. And Balzanor, I'm impressed and disappointed that the city isn't up in flames at this point with you being here for a week.
Oh, I've done my best to try, but my company has been trying to keep me back.
Well, don't let anyone quench your fire, Balzanor, or whatever it is.
Nobody can put out my fire.
Exactly. Keep up that mentality.
Yeah.
And it's around that time.
Back into David from the other side. I've had to put out a couple.
And
Did you know he tried
it's around
to be a roofer?
a roofer, and it's about that time a call sort of goes off for people to come in and enter the council meeting.
A good story for another time.
Yeah, definitely sounds like it. Yeah, you all head in, and inside is a very, very large table, and there are sort of seats almost in that sort of like a sort of cascading thing, like rows and rows of seats that sort of just go up, sort of all around this very, very large table. It's a sort of like massive table that shows Ambyr, and then it's sort of like got a zoomed in portion where the capital is, and it is a pretty large depiction of the capital, its surrounding area for a few miles, including the sea sort of for a few miles. Everyone takes their seats. Some choose to stand and they stand around the area, some choose to sit. You guys are invited in and sort of brought in, and you can stand or sit or whatever around the table. And stood around the table already is Councilman Ivan. He looks not great. He does not look like he slept literally a wink. He's got bags under his eyes. He's clearly quite tired, and his hair is, he clearly like did his beard and did his hair up nice at some point last night, but after a long, long night of deliberating and thinking and inquiring about things, some of it's come out and some of it's everywhere. He says, right, well, we've all heard rumour of why we're here, and well, it's true. An army of undead is apparently on the way to these gates, to these walls, to this capital, to this castle, at this present moment, somewhere in the Shadowfell. For those of you that don't know what the Shadowfell is, well, read a book after this. I don't know. Can't explain it right now. What you do need to know is that this army is, shown. And he looks over to Moraine, who is still here, and looks much the same as Councilman Ivan. Slight bags under her eyes. She's hid it a little better, but not amazingly better. And she sort of begins to form this image in the center of the large table. This image, once again, of this large army marching towards the city, or rather shambling towards the city, filled with many different creatures. Creatures like giants, zombies and skeletons, ogres, undead griffins and manticores, and all realm of different beings.
Will be all right.
I mean, they're undead griffins. That's even worse.
Jesus, I know.
My only redeeming feature is my personality. I don't even have that.
It's Galahad's worst nightmare, isn't it? A bunch of griffins.
Oh, no, it's Ormus's worst nightmare.
Oh.
That's also true.
Uncalled for. Uncalled for. Not even
Anyway, now this army is, as far as we're aware, numbered in the thousands on thousands. We will be outnumbered for this fight, and we know not what we're really getting into. The only things we do know is that they are being led by a queen from this land's past, Queen Yara, the Necromancy Queen. She is back, apparently, and leading this army against us to take the capital once again for herself. This is not a battle we can go into willy-nilly. This is not a battle we can go into lightly without much thinking. We need everyone's focused minds on this problem at hand. Now, I have spent the last many hours of my life drinking, but also looking into what can be done about this army and any information on necromancy and undead armies as I can. And after pooling together some information, I can surmise this. As you can see from this image here brought up by the Lady Moraine, she is a divination wizard who has seen this army in her visions. As you can see, each of these creatures has white flames in their eyes after speaking to some professionals in necromantic ways, as well as looking through the library's different tomes and compendiums. We think that anything with white in its eyes means it's being controlled by Yara herself, which is particularly impressive when you think there's thousands of these things. However, you can see here, and the illusion seems to change and zoom in on a few creatures within the thing, and it sort of swatches back and forth between them. These individuals within the ranks of the army are not controlled by Yara. They do not have the flame in their eyes. They are likely still undead. They are, as you can see, they are armed and dressed like generals. They hold banners. They lead. So the army is being controlled by something with potentially some semblance of intelligence. If it at least hopefully was, or unhopefully, but was intelligent in life at the very least. These things will be tough. Undead are relentless, and I brought over some professionals at killing undead today. Dokrumir, Griffin, Galahad, and Balzanor. They can probably tell you a little more than I can about killing undead. I confess I've killed more living things. But undead do not get tired, and they do not fear anything. They will follow their commander's wish to the letter. They will keep coming until we are all dead, or until they stop physically moving. Need all eyes, all ears, and all minds on this, if you would please. And so, the meeting gets underway. And in this meeting, you guys are not only going to represent yourselves, but you four are going to be representing the War Council. So, obviously, Doc, Griffin, Galahad, Balzanor wouldn't necessarily know the scope of what can be done in the city, nor would they necessarily know how to defend or besiege a city. So in this, you guys are Doc, Griffin, Galahad and all that, but you're also the War Council as a whole. You guys can conduct how this goes. There are several things to get through first, and this is just the very basics of what they have. This is the basics of how this city should be defended. They need to decide whether an outer force is necessary or not and implement this. Archers will be set at equal distances upon the wall, war mages set between them at equal distances too. A force will be set behind them to defend against any troops climbing over the wall, but this will be fairly minimal. And as the enemy draw closer, different sort of militia and infantry will be allocated as necessary to different parts of the wall. As you've all cleverly surmised, the aim will be to draw enemies towards the divot towards the river entrance. Defences will be mounted near and in the river, forming a blockade, so that nothing can just sail right through and push right through. A more compact force of archers, war mages, and mounted ballistae and catapults are in this area, hoping to basically just make a massive death pit for anything that comes within this region. There are spaces beneath the castle for potentially thousands of people to hide out in. This can be upgraded by druids and things like that using several things, which Nevada might have already been contacted to potentially help sort out, things like move earth and spells such as that to help, literally move the earth under the castle to create more space for more people.
All in the imagination.
Indeed. The docks will be obviously protected, as this is obviously the main form of escape, and boats will be ferrying people over to the other side of the capital bay. Many temples, and predominantly temples, will be converted into medical centers for soldiers, and also druids and local druidic forces, as well as a number of the actual forces, and the actual number will be contacted, and basically will create ditches around the city walls to create a sort of moat type thing. From here, the decisions you guys make, whatever you want, are up to you. There are some different dilemmas and things they have, but what are you guys' first thoughts and plans for how you might go ahead and defend this city? No ideas are too crazy. If you have any ideas for specific spells, specific traps and inventions that you could potentially try and get people on, that could be very interesting. Any specific formations or ways of fighting that could be quite interesting, that maybe could be implemented. And at the end of this meeting, it is then going to be about you guys, specifically Doc, Galahad, Griffin, and where they will come into this. But first, what would you like to do? How?
What was that?
Reinforcements. Is my first
Reinforcements.
What forces
So-
do we have nearby we can call upon?
So, forces from Kriggan and Inksworth have already been sought after and rallied. Lots of local forces have been rallied as well, from smaller fishing towns and mining towns and merchant towns and things like that in the local area. They can get a sizable force, and it really depends, because the problem is you don't know when the siege is coming. It could come tomorrow. It could come in a week's time. It could come in a month's time. You are not entirely certain. So the message has been sent out to basically every city to help if they can. And Inksworth and Kriggan have already said that they are mobilizing troops as we speak to the capital. And several towns have already replied saying that they have men on the way.
I think first priority should be to evacuate those that cannot fight.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think evacuate rather than spend resources evacuating rather than storing and hope to hold the city?
Not necessarily evacuating them, but move them maybe either to somewhere near the docks or on this kind of coastal bit where they
Have them ready to go.
Yeah.
I don't
but
wanna-
I was also wondering,
Hold on.
this may be out of the question, but could we not use magic, right? Bear with, to effectively carve a
That's a good start.
path, effectively make a giant moat using the river around the city, so that we can literally funnel the army of the dead into a specific concentrated place. Like, so if you bear with, like up here, carved like that around
I
the
see what
city.
you're saying. I felt. I mean, it's up to Bennett's as well. I felt that's mad levels of magic.
Well, if you've got mad druids and
Well,
other molds.
You're a bit
stone.
mad. I don't know if that means you're good at magic.
well, certain things can be done. It can certainly be attempted. There are, Nevado and Grandwind aren't the only druids in this area. There are many, there are many others, and many others can be contacted, and also many others can be contacted not even just on this on this plane. This, you could send a somewhat diplomatic envoy to other druidic forces. Roll me a... Anyone got a nature proficiency? Anyone proficient in nature?
I feel like Nevada should.
Absolutely not.
I failed if I haven't.
Nevada would somewhat know something about this anyway, so he can roll whether he does or doesn't. Okay, 17. So you would know there are also many creatures. So if you remember in the capital, so looking actually at the map of Ambyr, there is a forest just out here, which is home to many slightly more druidic and fey-like creatures. And also in the Feywild, there are also many different creatures as well that could be potentially coerced and asked for help. Deals could be struck with many creatures. Creatures like so with that nature roll, Nevada would know things like treants, things like some elementals,
the Ents marching.
potentially different things like that could be contacted and coerced to help, but it would, they would need something in return. They might want something in return. All that good stuff.
Well, Nevada is happy to go and envoy.
It's a good idea. I guess it's just an issue of time. Like Ben said, if they attack in the next day, we would have made scant progress on that.
Yeah, this would be like you would need at the very least a week to get that done, and that would be druids working day and night using every spell slot they have available.
Well, in that case, then let's get that off the table. But I think
it's a good idea. But
if we could get reinforcements from Fey or whatever creatures in the nearby woods, that could be potentially very helpful.
Yeah.
Because I think,
Ben, how big a force are we talking, Ben, that we saw? And how big a force are we talking that we saw in the Shadowfell?
Enormous.
You guys, tens of thousands. This is, as far as your eyes could see in the Shadowfell was just... Especially, Balzanor, when he describes it, because he was a lot closer to them. You guys saw them from way high above down, and it was very misty, and all you guys could see was undead. Balzanor was a little bit more up close, and he could see, as far as his eye could see to the horizon, just an army of undead.
The sort of
in their thousands.
At it from is, I think eventually any sort of defense, although it's just a matter of how long we could drag it out, I think eventually they'd break through. So I think maybe the thing that we need to touch on is if they're all controlled by Yara, then we need to kind of draw Yara out and cut the head off a snake kind of thing.
Well, I mentioned before, just being invaded myself.
Well, Galahad's been murdered. That didn't take very long.
Yeah, Galahad could potentially try and draw the bait, if you like, or be the bait, if you like.
I think if you're like a faux leader, you would make it look like you're commanding from the front kind of thing, but we've actually got someone in reserve actually orchestrating it. Because then I think if you're not only are you a target for Yara, but also if she thinks you're leading the whole thing and she kills you, then that's the end of it, really, or the beginning of the end.
So I think that's a whatever else we do is a good suggestion. Galahad.
Well, just to try and lure Yara out, because also, the goal, I guess, is to end it quicker because the longer this goes on, the more people. We might win, but the more people are going to die. So
equally,
we've got two things to plan. I think we've got to plan the defense, and we've got to plan the attack. As you said, it's not going to be a case of just sit here and defend until they're all gone. We're going to have to.
I'm not joking.
So just get the children involved. Get the children
that is something that I can bring up.
What you do with holy water is you chuck it on stuff.
A holy water bomb could be a good idea.
Well, instead of oil on the ramparts, we'll put holy water.
Holy oil.
I was kind of hoping for oil anyway, so I can just add more fire to mine.
That's your one contribution. Can we just make sure whatever we throw on them is flammable, please?
I'm down with that.
You do get that.
light a spark and just see everything explode.
You do get the holy oils, don't you? You know.
Yeah, you can make holy oil, but that's an issue that we can address in a second.
So,
For that is a bit of a dilemma.
I'm thinking, does Greek fire exist, Ben?
Greek fire does exist in some form or another. Yes.
Okay.
It is an expensive thing. The capital has very few reserves of it. You know.
Wait, is it
It's
like
a-
wildfire?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
basically
nice.
like napalm. Easily flammable,
Sorry.
sticks to
Inflammable,
things.
Yeah, sticks, hard to put out, even underwater.
Yeah.
Because when it burns, it
And-
creates its own oxygen. So.
Yeah. And yeah, generally like basically like an arcane oil that already has sort of like elemental magics brimming within it. So even like the lightest spark will just set it all ablaze.
I'm thinking concealed pit traps filled with
Holy water.
filled with fire.
I mean, I think that's a good idea. I think that if we put them in the right place, their tactic, hopefully, is just going to be to try and overwhelm us. And so we just have to try and deal as much mass damage as we can. If we know that they're definitely going to come at us, we can prepare for that.
It's those substances, holy water, fire, the things that work particularly well against the undead. Stacking quantities of those that can be thrown, detonated, hidden.
You've also then obviously got things like spike growth and that as well that you can use to hold them in, not hold them, but keep them in an area where we can hit them with that kind of thing.
To make it difficult to get across, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hold them up whilst they're being battered by, preferably not flames if it's spike growth, because then it'll just burn up the spikes. But
if we're trying to lure Yara out, where's the best place to try and do that?
Well, it's if we're trying to lure her to wherever we're putting Galahad.
Well, where's the best place to put Galahad?
where did Galahad fight her before?
You fought her underneath the city in a chamber that at the time you surmised was a chamber where she practiced a lot of her very powerful necromantic magics away from the prying eyes of the people, very deep within the maze beneath the city.
So we wouldn't be able to find it, would we?
You
Easily.
used a map before to find it, but then you died, and you don't know what happened to that map since.
Where did you last leave it?
I mean, you could obviously make inquiries as to that sort of thing.
Well, on the subject of tunnels.
I'm just worried.
Are there tunnels into and out of the city?
From the castle, yes. Those are the the maze under the capital, obviously made by Yara. She did implement tunnels, out of the castle to places like just down here into this little divot, all the way. You can only imagine how far they go, but the only one that has been found and routed by people, like there is a physical map of this specific route, is one that gets you out of the castle and down here, just in this little divot, in this little corner of the cliff. That is mapped out and given to many guards in and around the area. Many people can easily give you that route.
Well, we think we need to make inquiries.
So it's not actual tunnel out to the outside of the city.
No. That if there is a tunnel, like there probably is a tunnel. There probably is a tunnel that gets you out of the city, but it's just knowing how to traverse the maze to get to that point.
We should send some people to make some inquiries into seeing if they can scout the outside of the city to find any of those entrances or exits.
Yeah.
We want those blocked off.
One sec. Oh, okay, 17. One entrance is in fact known. It's like way out to the right of this thing, just on the sort of cliffside. But it's like, that the entrance or the exit is known, but how you go from this exit to the capital, like the castle, how you traverse that maze, that's not known.
I don't think that's an issue. I think either we fortify this or we just collapse it so it's no longer an option.
That is fair. Because remember, Yara built these things, so...
If they cut through... Yeah, the moment they cut through, we're just pincered, aren't we?
So we want to close that off.
Just collapse it, I think.
Balzanor can probably manage collapsing a tunnel with a suitable time.
I don't see any reason why not.
I'm sure he's made many a structure unstable in his time.
In terms of where we're putting Galahad, are we thinking, like, are we eventually having it outside the city to try and lure her? I don't know if we'll be able to lure her into the city.
Yeah, that's the thing. Do you then... Because, I mean, if you evacuated everyone, you could, in theory, maybe lead her to somewhere like the keep in the castle, and have him there, and then all you guys can pounce on the Ash as well.
Probably know better, as he's the only one that actually knew Yara. Is the capital her aim? Like, does he think the capital would be her aim because it's the capital and she wants that as like a seat of power? Or is it the capital because the capital is where the most people are, so it's the best target? So, like, if you move the people, will she go after the people in...
I think it's the symbolism.
Why don't you all of you make me an insight check? This would be quite an interesting point.
Because it's like, how much effort do we need to put into saving the people?
Oh,
like,
I mean,
for Balzanor.
Is it worth investing a lot of effort to get a lot of people away?
Sorry, Ben, did you say insight?
Yeah.
Only for her to turn around and go after them again, if they're somewhere else. Like, if we send them all away and we defend here, only for her to go to somewhere else where they are.
It dawns on you, Galahad, Balzanor, Doc, that... So obviously you've been fighting for a little while now. Balzanor's told you that an army of orcs was going to be raised by Raziel in the north. That was the original plan. You took down an army... Well, you took down Lolth before she was trying to raise an army of Drow in the east. Now there's an army coming to the west. You do get that sense of whatever Tiamat has been planning. It does seem oddly convenient that, all these things are happening north, east, west. You don't know what Glyndon and everyone's got going on. Whether they're in the south, you have no idea. But that...
Where are you right now?
I'm a little busy
You
here.
get nothing. You did. I'm here in the city. Do you not see me? I'm having a 3v3 with all of Luke's characters.
One side versus the other.
That would be a fight.
That would be interesting. But if I might bring a little bit of order back to this, just as you guys are thinking on this. Actually, I'll tell you what. It's 9 o'clock. We'll go on a quick break, and then I've just got some questions that I want to ask you about slightly more specific things that the council. Some dilemmas that can be solved and might have a sway in things.
Yeah, that would be some focus.
Yeah. Mainly this is just to get
want these boys to
ideas.
organise the whole damn siege.
Oh no! I mean, you obviously, you can organise the entire siege if you would like to, and also there's the question of what are your individual characters going to be doing? Obviously, are they going to be part of the main force?
I mean,
or are they going to be part of their own little force, just putting out fires
It's
where
kind
and
of
when it
sounding
happens.
like
I'm thinking strike
Galahad's
force.
going to be dying.
I'm thinking strike force. We need to
The
lure
ultimate
Yara
sacrifice.
out onto the battlefield, and then, like, anyone know, like, if we got some druids, like some big ravens, or like some big eagles, and just drop us on top.
I mean, yeah, like I said, there's a few druids. There are
JJ, have you just
people
invented
you could
the,
contact.
you just invented the SAS of Ambyr.
Yes, it's of Amber. But yeah, we'll go on break. Have a think about sort of anything else, and yeah, we'll be back in a bit. And I got a couple of questions to ask, and then we'll hopefully move on and think really quickly then, to be moving on with the session. So, a few questions that would have been raised that might pique you guys' attention. So, the first one is: should there be a force outside the gates? Should there be like an army outside the gates, or should essentially you guys try and turtle inside the capital? Now, there are pros and cons.
I think there should be.
What's the
small
benefit?
force.
What's the
there are-
cavalry
there are-
situation?
They have cavalry. We have cavalry. There is an entire massive stable of horses that can be used as cavalry. So a con is obviously however large your force is, you will be outnumbered by Yara's forces. So this force that goes outside will basically be there to slow down the advance of the enemy, but will probably die in the process.
I think that's cavalry, and we need to use them
They need to sweep out, I think.
like
don't
they're
they?
on a
After
series of
attacks.
bungee cords. They need to come in from the sides, and you turn away. Anything
Yeah.
that gets or anything that as they start to spread out, the cavalry needs to be there to harry the flanks to force them tightly together into where we want them to run. If they start spreading out, cavalry needs to cut that off.
But they also don't want to get trapped in the fighting.
No, that's I think they need to be fast moving around the edges so that they're not getting bogged down, and they can use that mounted speed to do those sorts of things, like chase down stragglers that break off and those stuff.
I would tend to agree with you.
Okay.
So that's not a stationary force outside, Ben. That's like just a cavalry
Yeah.
sweep
Okay.
in, I guess.
Yeah.
So you probably have it split in half to harry each flank, or
Yeah.
depending on where the river is, you'd have it based on where the map is. It would be just the right flank because the left flank will be up against the river potentially.
I mean, are we assuming they're just going to file in, or are they going to attack the whole shebang?
We don't know.
You don't know. That's one of the unfortunate things about trying to plan a siege, is you don't know what the enemy's going to do.
From that regard, can we use Galahad outside the city as bait to draw them, as Luke's been saying, bait them into that channel?
Potentially. Cool. So next point. There is a lot of talk of holy water and holy oil being used quite extensively. Many people have been obviously bringing this up. Archers can obviously dip their arrows in it. Catapults can throw holy water. Soldiers can, rub their swords